Hi, my name is Ashley Mott, and today I'll be talking about my research design project, which focuses on animal interaction in family visits, looking at child welfare and bonding and reunification for families. For this study, I'm exploring whether interacting with shelter animals can help support bonding during supervised parent-child visits in the child welfare system. These visits can often feel stressful or awkward for both parents and children because of the past trauma, separation, and the structured nature of supervised visits. By introducing shelter animals into the visit, the goal is to see whether the animal helps reduce tension, increases emotional safety, and encourages more natural conversation between parents and children. This purpose also aligns with emerging social work research. Previous studies have highlighted how human-animal interaction can be integrated into social work practice, and they offer emotional and relational benefits for clients. This study helps expand that conversation specifically by looking at the child welfare system and supervised visitation, an area not widely explored. My research focuses on 3 questions. First, I want to understand how the presence of a shelter animal influences bonding behaviors between parents and their child during supervised visits. This might include things like playing together, what their comfort level looks like with one another, do they make eye contact with each other, or just how they communicate with each other in general. Secondly, I'll be exploring whether the animal helps to reduce stress or emotional tension. Supervised visits can be extremely uncomfortable, and human-animal interaction research shows that animals often help people feel calmer and more regulated. The last question looks at how families and visitation staff describe the shift in emotional connection when an animal is present. This captures the lived experience, which is central to qualitative research. Together, these questions help guide the study towards understanding both observable interaction and the felt emotional experience. The literature review draws from several bodies of research connected to trauma, family interaction, and family-animal interaction. We know that families and child welfare often experience trauma that affects communication, their attachment style, and emotional regulation. This helps explain why supervised visits can feel tense and why supportive interventions are needed. Human-animal interaction has repeatedly been shown to reduce stress, increase calmness, and support emotional regulation. Animals often help people feel safe and more open, which could be beneficial in a family visit setting. Research on animals in therapeutic or supportive settings show that animals encourage engagement, shared activities, and non-judgmental connection, all of which are important for rebuilding relationships. Human-animal interaction research also shows strong benefits for children specifically, including improved empathy, better emotional regulation, and better communication skills. One major gap, though, is that very few studies apply human-animal intervention within the child welfare spectrum, especially during supervised visitation. On one study, researchers Shin noted that human-animal intervention research is common in populations such as military veterans, people experiencing homelessness, and in incarcerated individuals. However, they also noted that child welfare remains unexplored. Furthermore, in a study by Flynn, they found that animal-assisted interventions improved family functioning and bonding in CPS-involved cases. This provides strong justification for studying human-animal interaction in supervised visits. This study uses a qualitative research design because I'm focusing on emotional experiences and relational dynamics and how families make meaning of their interactions when an animal is present. These are things that cannot be measured with numbers. More specifically, I'm using phenomenology, which focuses on people's lived experiences, what something feels like from their perspective. This aligns directly with my research questions about bonding, tension, connection, and emotional climate during visits. Phenomenology helps reveal nuances such as how the animal changes the atmosphere, whether the parents feel more at ease, or how the child responds emotionally. These insights support trauma-informed care principles and provide depth that would be missed in a more structured or quantitative method. For data collection, I'm using two main methods: semi-structured interviews and non-participant observations. Semi-structured interviews will be conducted with parents, children, and visitation workers. These interviews will explore how participants experienced the visit, what emotional shifts they noticed, and how the animal influences interaction. Sample questions include: did the animal help the visit feel more or less stressful? What changes did you notice in your communication or bonding today? Non-participant observation allow me to watch real-time interactions without interfering on the visit. I'll observe 2 to 3 visits per family and use a behavior checklist to record bonding behaviors like smiling. Are they doing activities together? Do they embrace one each other, whether it's giving a hug or a high five or a handshake, something like that. Additionally, I'd also be looking for stress cues, such as are they withdrawing from interacting with the parent, or do they mess with their phones or devices more? Does the room go real quiet? Is there not a lot of engagement going on? Things such as that. These methods complement each other because interviews capture the personal meaning of the experience, while observations capture behavior as it happens. For this study, I'm using convenience sampling, meaning I will recruit participants who are already involved in supervised visits through Caritas Family Solutions and who are available during the study period. As families come to scheduled visitation sessions, participation would depend on their availability or their willingness to engage. The population includes parents and their children who participate in supervised visitation, as well as the visitation workers who observe or facilitate those visits. Recruitment would occur locally through Caritas, where I currently intern, and through the Belleville Area Humane Society, where I volunteer and can help coordinate safe animal involvement. Convenience sampling is appropriate for a qualitative study like this because the goal is not generalizability, but rather gaining rich, detailed insight from families who experience human-animal interaction visits firsthand. It also aligns with the agency's constraints, respecting families' schedules, as well as consent. Ethics are extremely important in a study involving children, families, and trauma histories. One major risk is emotional sensitivity. Parents and children in supervised visits may already feel anxiety, sadness, or pressure. To reduce this, interviews will be trauma-informed, allowing breaks, choice, and gentle prompts. Parents may also worry about being judged. It's important to make clear that the study does not evaluate their parenting. It only focuses on how animals influence the visit atmosphere. Participation is voluntarily, and does not affect their case. Children may form temporary attachment to the animals, so it is important to explain that the animal is just there for the visit for the day and will not be going home with them. Lastly, safety is a priority. Belleville Area Humane Society uses temperament-tested animals, and a trained handler would be present to ensure safety for both families and the animals. Confidentiality would be protected through secure data storage and DI identification. In conclusion, the study has several strengths. It's trauma-informed, it's innovative, and deeply relevant to family reunification work. Using qualitative phenomenology allows for rich understanding of emotional and relational dynamics during visits. Weaknesses include a small local sample and the uniqueness of each family's situation, which limits generalizability. There may also be researcher bias during observation, which is typical in qualitative research. However, there's very little research exploring animal-assisted intervention in supervised visitation settings, despite strong evidence in other populations. Findings from this study may help child welfare agencies consider new, compassionate approaches to reducing visit stress, improving bonds, and forming partnerships with humane societies. This may ultimately support reunification efforts and more positive outcomes for families. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and thank you.